in all of the United States. DJ Clark up here in the commentary booth alongside Jonathan Grace for what promises to be an absolutely fantastic display of racing.
I think so too. These momentum-based cars are going to be such a challenge, but such a treat around a circuit like Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta here. All identical cars, heavily production-based. You got to carry momentum because they lack relative horsepower and downforce, but they make up for it in the racing quality. We saw it in qualifying, but a heck of a challenge given the temperature.
111.2 degrees Fahrenheit, 49% humidity, and I can tell you something, Jonathan. I was just outside doing some podiums earlier on in the day. It feels a lot hotter than 91 degrees out in the air. The air here in Georgia is a soup. It means that it is going to be very, very toasty for these drivers behind the wheels of these Toyota GR Cup cars, and this is going to be a real physical test for these drivers.
Yeah, I think the shot of the fan with that big fan had it right. I think the drivers will be wishing they had a fan of that size in the race car because they'll be hot with adrenaline, they'll be hot from the temperature, they'll be a little bit hot under the collar as well because we see these cars tend to run nose to tail from first all the way down the grid order to 29th. And what a healthy field it is, 29 cars strong, 15 rows on the grid.
Yeah, really great to see. The front row, by the way, made up of Jeremy Fletcher and Ethan Ayres, but this is the man we need to be talking about most specifically. It is Spike Kohlbecker, your championship points leader. He has had a stellar start to the season.
4 wins for Spike Kohlbecker is a phenomenal record. It's one that's going to be hard to match. We talk about the might of the 6-win season from Weston Workman that earned him a championship last year. Spike Kohlbecker has been the man to beat. We saw him and Jeremy Fletcher emerge as the 2 championship protagonists when this series kicked off on the streets of Arlington, and it has stayed that way, although it's 136 points for Kohlbecker coming into this weekend, a 53-point advantage over his rival in Jeremy Fletcher. Fletcher needs to have a perfect weekend.
That it does. Starting on pole position is a good way to start here for race 1, but he is going to have a very, very hungry flock of GR86 Cup cars behind him, and with some surprising passing zones and some obvious passing zones here at Road Atlanta. He's going to have to be looking in that rearview mirror and making sure that he has got all the I's dotted and the T's crossed.
These 4-cylinder boxer engines, flat cylinders coming to life. Tracks hit this beautiful 2.54-mile permanent road course here in the rolling Georgia Hills. What a stunning facility as well, DJ. We mentioned the 29-car strong field. It's going to be busy out there.
Yes, it is. Up front, as we mentioned, Jeremy Fletcher and Ethan Ayres, Copeland Motorsports and BSI Racing. Behind him, it's Spike Kohlbecker and Parker DeLong at Tech Sport Row 2. Will Robustto, 5th place qualifying alongside Malbec Ramos. A good day for Tech Sport Racing altogether. Zach Hollingshead is in 7th, and Ethan Goulart 8th. I think he'd be liking a little bit more for BSI. It's one of the young guns. And Nico Colby in P9. Mike Edwards rounds out your top 10.
6th row of the grid is made up of Beltray Curtis in the 5 alongside the 007 from BSI Racing. You look 1 row back in row 7, starting 13th is Ryan Powers, number 865 machine for BSI. It's Garrett Maines in the number 14. He's always one to watch charging through the field. So too, Joseph Malley in the number 12 on the 8th row of the grid. Starting alongside him in 16th is Massimo Sanseri, who's begun to come into his own this season. Slater Colby in the number 25, a newcomer starting 17th on row 9 alongside veteran Max Schweid. He's going to have a lot of pace in hand. Liam Harrison in the number 55 for Black Dog Racing. What a storied weekend it's been for them already. Nathan Dupuis in the 041. He will start 20th. 11th row of the grid is comprised of the number 70, Jay Thomas for Nitro Motorsports, and Alcir Arujo in the number 77. He starts 27th. Maite Caceres in the Rafa Racing 812, one of the best liveries on the grid. She's had a lot of pace. Levo Galanti starts 24th. Alongside 25th, Ava Schlitz in the number 85. She is on the 13th row of the grid with Patrick Brunson recovering from a little bit of a bonk earlier in the weekend, some contact hampering his efforts. Joe Rainey in the number 30 starts 27th. Roberto Mostello, another newcomer, 28th. Final position on the grid is Carter Wilson in the number 90.
Qualifying was a little truncated this morning, courtesy of a red flag on the track, so a little bit of a jump on the grid, but Jeremy Fletcher in that pole position, hoping to be able to keep his way going forward. Ethan Ayres watches him as they come down through turn 12, enter onto the acceleration zone. The green flag flies, and we go racing for the first time ever in Road Atlanta. Fletcher, good lead already. That's Kohlbecker making moves down to the inside of turn 1. You can see those cars pitch forward as they dive onto the binders, trying to get those cars turned for the sweeping uphill turn 1 and into the ever tricky turn 2.
I love how high commitment turn 1 is, but in these cars you can run 2, 3, almost even 4 wide as it bottlenecks into turn 2. You crest the hill into turn 3, and then DJ, we hit the S. Is such a technical part of this racetrack. We saw them run 2x2 during qualifying, not the fastest way around. Can certainly be hairy, but look at these GR Cup cars attack the curves.
Really impressive move by Will Robustto, coming up into 2 and 3 to be able to get his way up into 5th place. That's the kind of aggression he's going to need to be able to challenge in the second half of this season. Fletcher leads from Kohlbecker, little side-by-side farther back down in the field. The faster than expected turn 6, now into the heavy braking zone of turn 7. And Jonathan, this is the corner you got to get right.
Yes, it is. Watch the 15 of Spike Kohlbecker. He leapt from 3rd to 2nd on the opening sequence in the opening sector of this racetrack. And now as we hit that long back straight, Jeremy Fletcher might be driving a little bit in his wing mirrors. He started on pole position. He needs a perfect weekend, but the man leading the points wants the lead of this race.
And it's Kohlbecker to what will be the outside of turn 10A, but he's got enough overspeed. He may be able to get this done. Fletcher tries to be later on the binders. They go side by side. Fletcher gets a nose ahead, shuts the door, or at least tries to. Kohlbecker fights back, and they're still going to be 2 abreast coming down into 11.
And look at Ethan Ayers. He wants a slice of the pie as well. Jeremy Fletcher, if he's not careful, might lose 2 and even 3 positions as he's watched out wide. Through goes the 42 of Parker DeLong.
And Robustto trying to be able to take a piece of that as well. I think Fletcher was able to get alongside him. 3 wide coming down into turn 1. Hold on there, boys. Robustto gets it done. And the 17 of Ramos, as my goodness, in the course of 2 corners, we've got a car way off into the grass.
Just going to say Jeremy Fletcher losing pace and continues to do so. The 21 into the tires. That's Michael Edwards from Eagles Canyon Racing with Fast Track. Going off track and into the tires. Not sure if he's able to keep a little bit of drive in that rear wheel drive. Race car through the S's. Fletcher was going wheel to wheel. What a phenomenal save just behind. That could have been a super hairy moment.
Goodness.
What car control, my goodness.
It just, I mean, I think he kept his foot in it that whole time, and just you could see the tail sliding around side by side farther back in the field down into turn 6. As they try to sort themselves out a little bit more. That's going to be 9th place Garrett Maines, as you said earlier on, making some moves early. Behind him, that's Nico Colby and Zach Hollingshead trying to sort themselves out.
Racing stays green off camera. The 21 has got moving, so we continue to follow along the multitude of battles at the front of this field. Spike Kohlbecker leads by just 0.2 of a second, but everywhere you look, there is something happening. But Kohlbecker, he was under pressure from Jeremy Fletcher, who's shuffled back in the order. It's now Ethan Ayers and DeLong who have their eyes on that top position down into the braking zone.
Nice fade there by Kohlbecker, just slowly moving back to the racing line. That is allowed. You can drive defensively so long as it is proactive and not in reaction to another driver.
That's so critical when these cars are mechanically basically identical. The setup windows are intentionally small, and that is to focus on driver development and driver skill. The team's preparing the minds and skill sets of these drivers. Just look at how close they are into the super high commitment, high speed turn 1. Further back in the order, more battling 2 and even 3 wide into turn 1. Not the favorable racing line, but for Nathan Dupuy, able to try to just keep that position at bay.
Yeah, and a nice little look there from Beltran Curtis. That's about the battle for 14th position we were watching. There you see a little bit of side-by-side. These drivers are just attacking these curbs in a way that we have not seen all weekend long.
Joseph Malley, the Eagles Canyon car with that orange nose, just trying to draw a bead, went way wide as we focus now on the front of this field. People kicking up that Georgia clay in the back. There's Will Robustto in that number 2 RVA graphics machine, and now he's got the pole sitter sunk back in the order, but trying to regain some ground.
Before we saw Mike have that off, I mean, what a remarkable couple of corners here for Jeremy Fletcher. Just got pushed to the outside coming through 11, and you talk about momentum. Got out onto that. I think he had to lift out of the throttle a little bit. Lost 2, 3, 4, almost 5 positions in the course of 2 corners.
Look at this, just snaking left and right, trying to break the toe. Because these cars are so closely matched, any advantage or any disadvantage pays dividends down into the braking zone. Spike Kohlbecker maintains the lead over the 78 of Ethan Ayers. Parker DeLong in 3rd, Will Robustto and Jeremy Fletcher giving chase inside the top 5. But it's the top 3 who have separated just a little bit from this pack. What a great view over the high commitment area of turn 11. You crest, you unload, and you go way down the hill towards turn 12. The front straightaway, but it closes up on you quicker than you think, DJ.
Yeah, this is, as we said earlier, a very high commitment first corner. Maybe just a dab of the brakes to get that nose pointed and shot up the hill. Big move in the back. I think that was Harrison trying to go for it. Robustto now under pressure from the likes of Fletcher. Robustto holding on to P4. Fletcher wants that away from him. Malbec Ramos and Ethan Goulart holding into that battle. That is for P4 right now. Fletcher looking a little bit sideways.
Big curb strike on the initial commitment into the S's. And Jeremy Fletcher, that race car just looks a little bit out of sort. It's not turning in quite as nicely as he would like it to. Unsure if he's just feeling a little bit uncomfortable in that race car. The nose is clean. There hasn't been any damage on it, but it's not behaving in the way he'd like.
Could that almost be a mental thing? I mean, losing those positions that quickly, could he just be second-guessing a little bit behind the wheel?
It could be very easy to do in the race car as the 2 goes off and Jeremy Fletcher does in sympathy. Everybody keeping it clean, albeit for a little bit of a smoke screen kicked up by the Continental tires as they hit the back straight. I think to your point, DJ, absolutely right. When you lose a couple positions, it can be so easy to get frustrated and start to make rash decisions. You might miss your braking zone. You might miss your throttle point. Things like this. Markers that you would normally do almost second nature. Kohlbecker threat evaded into the braking zone of 10A and B. But for Jeremy Fletcher, now you need to focus in and start to capitalize when the cars in front of you start to battle like Will Robustto is now.
And that's going to be 3 wide coming down through turn 11. Malbec Ramos and Will Robustto leaning on each other down into turn 12. That's Ramos carrying great speed around the outside. Rear end of the car starts to slip away a little bit. I think this is going to give advantage back to Robustto. No, Ramos is going to be right there with him. They're going to go 2 wide up through turn 1. This isn't oval racing, gents. This is Road Atlanta. My goodness.
They are formation flying up down towards turn 3. I have my eyes on the 72. Ethan Goulart has been waiting patiently for this battle to evolve, and he's in a great position to bounce. He has been steady, maybe not the fastest car on track all weekend, but he might be in the best position to capitalize off of this battle. 3-4 cars long, but the further along that they squabble, it's going to lose all of them momentum. Will Robustto in 4th. He needs to set his sights on 3rd and regaining some of that ground, but the whole pack needs to go with him.
Yeah, but with somebody like Fletcher, who's that aggressive and that ready to make that attack up towards the front of the field, and Fletcher goes off into the dirt on the outside of turn 6. Got to think Robustto's got to be thinking a little bit in his rearview mirror, but to your point, I like what Ethan Goulart is doing. Very much what we like to call the popcorn position. He's just sitting back in a lazy boy, snacking on some Orville Redenbacher and waiting for this battle to really fire off in front of him. And he is ready when there is a moment to take it. Speaking of a moment, Parker DeLong thinks about it on Ethan Ayres, down to the braking zone for 10A, comes back into line.
Parker DeLong, this is probably the best position he's ever been in to win a GR Cup North America race. Still hunting down that first victory. We've gone full course yellow. Oh, boy.
Well, this is going to make things a little bit more interesting. That battle we were talking about, that looks like it could be the number 24 machine.
It is.
There it is. That is the 24. Very, very torn up. That is Musteller that you were talking about a little bit earlier in the Skip Barber Racing Machine. That front bumper torn up, the rear bumper torn up. Let's take a look at the replay.
Oh, just on his own. It's such a tricky corner. You come out of turn 6. As soon as you straighten the wheel, you are back on the brakes. There is a bump on entry as you turn the nose in. Some drivers use it to help rotate the car. With these cars, they like to dance around. They're really tail happy when you drive them on the limit. It can be really rewarding to do right, but when you get it wrong, they can snap back and bite you when the Continental tires regain grip. For series debutant Robert Musteller, that one will hurt just a little bit. Car is back under its own power. Interestingly, though, just watching on the marching ants, the 21 we saw go off track and hit the wall earlier, that is just behind. Was not related to that incident, but was off the pace nonetheless.
How much does this help the likes of Robustto and Fletcher? We were talking about that gap starting to form between themselves and Parker DeLong. Gap is no more.
This helps them massively as well. Interestingly, Will Robustto and Jeremy Fletcher, twice race winners each in this series, now line up next to each other. Fletcher in that 22 car. You could see some wheel banging from fisticuffs earlier in the weekend. That Continental Tire mark just donning the number 22 badge, but that's going to be one to watch between the 2 and the 22. 2 wins between the 2 of them. They're going to be 2x2 on the restart.
Well, and we saw that big move from Robustto into 2 and 3 on the opening couple of laps. I don't think it's out of the realm realm of possibility we see a repeat of that. Great news for race fans as we watched that GR86 safety car scamper off down the back straightaway. We're going back to racing.
We are. Look at the moves early on from Max Schweid and Nathan Dupuis. 6 positions gained for both of them. Massimo Sinceri mentioned it's been a quiet but positive weekend for him. He's up already 5 positions too.
Yeah, and I think the one that really got caught out by that red flag was Max Schweid. The red flag in qualifying earlier today. We got a relative idea of how everybody was going to be at the front, but that was the problem. Green flag going to be back in the air here in a moment. Restart zone a little bit further up the track. So that allows for Kohlbecker to get on it and get on it early. Single file as they come down through turn 12. Kohlbecker with a pretty substantial gap as they cross over the timing and scoring stripe. DeLong looks to the inside of Ayers with a big move.
Jeremy Fletcher patient behind, but look at the battle for second and third. It continues to rage on. You asked if this would help Will Robustto. Well, he's closed right up on the back, and if they continue to fight over second and third, he's going to tow Jeremy Fletcher along with him.
Robustto just so aggressive on the brakes, so aggressive on the curbs there over turn 2. I think he may have gotten all 4 wheels up into the air. Big hop, skip, and a jump over the curbs there through the S's and now down into the tricky turn 5. A couple of drivers just testing the limits there. Now DeLong has been released. It looks like he has got the bit between his teeth. He is charging down on Kohlbecker.
Jeremy Fletcher clearly the faster of the 2 cars, and an incident in the background. I think that's the 55 that's gone around.
That's Harrison, I believe. Liam Harrison.
Yes, it is. Good spot. Black Dog Racing into the tire wall. And made contact, I think, with the concrete. Is he going to be able to pull that car off track? He might. We may go under full course yellow green for the moment, but Jeremy Fletcher was starting to reel in Will Robustto. It was so clear down the S's how aggressive and how much more comfortable Fletcher was on the nose of that race car. Robusto just positioning himself well in defense. We have gone yellow.
Yeah, and I like what Race Control did here. Giving the opportunity for Liam to get that car into a safe area, see if it could continue on under its own power. These cars are low enough on horsepower. They don't make super quick lap times. Ooh, that
heavy impact.
I hate to admit this, but I've done that on the sim before. That's very easy to do. You just get a little bit crossed up when you go through turn 5. We mentioned as he came through there just how difficult that corner is to get right. It's a lot faster than you think you want it to be, and you really want to carry as much momentum as you can around the outside there.
Yeah, and you hate to see it for the Black Dog Racing entry and other categories under the SRO tent. It's been such a storied weekend for them. Michael Cooper and Tony Gaples with a historic couple of races, but here in the GR Cup ranks not faring as well here in race 1. Still a race 2 to make it up tomorrow, and I think he'll be all eyes forward to that.
I think he will be as well. We did see Harrison back under his own power, so I wouldn't imagine this would be a long safety car. But I think the driver that this most favors right now is going to be Parker DeLong. Got that good move on Ethan Ayers, and probably took some mental notes as to what Spike Kohlbecker did off of that restart. As I said, the restart zone is off of the leader's discretion on restarts as opposed to entering into that official starting zone for the drop of the green flag. So when they come back, he's able to go as early as the exit of 10B and really start to gap the field if he chooses to.
And it's exactly what we saw. Spike Kohlbecker read the rule book, and he had his engineer presumably in his ear telling him, hey, go, go, go. And he, I think, just jumped over Ethan Ayers. DeLong launched his way up into second, just 17 years of age out of Phoenix, Arizona. Has made a name for himself in single mate competition. I don't know what you were doing at 17 years of age, DJ, but I certainly was not racing for race wins in a professional racing series, I can assure you that. So a lot of weight on the shoulders of a young driver, but a very mature drive here today.
I can tell you I was not racing either. I was in a very bad production of Grease when I was 17, but that was about it. As we get going on the back straightaway, I did see the lights on that GR86 safety car back out, so Kohlbecker will have control of the field up to position. Schweid unable to move forward, as has Dupuis off of that very brief start. Ooh, little bit of a lock-up, stack-up there coming through 10B, and it looks like Kohlbecker's back on the loud pedal. Not as good of a jump as he got last time.
I like the jump from Robusto as well. He's hungry in fourth, and look at the 17 of Malbec Ramos behind.
Yeah, he's trying to push in here. Let's see if anybody gets aggressive down into turn one. Kohlbecker trying to cut it off a little bit there. Malbec Ramos poking a nose farther back. There's Schweid thinking about a move on the 51 of Sinceri. Sinceri goes wide, and that's going to allow an opportunity here for Max Schweid to maybe get it, and he's going to push his way ahead. 3 wide coming into turn 2. Contact!
That was contact. It can tighten up on you in turns 2 and 3. That Rafa racing car carrying damage from earlier continues to trundle on. But such is the concertina effect when you get up towards turn 2. It bottlenecks, it tightens up into the braking zone of 3. The car unloads, and it can be so easy to carry too much speed. Look at the battle for the top couple positions.
And that's Will Robustto trying to have a look at Ethan Ayres. Not normally an overtaking zone into turn 6. Like I said earlier, a faster speed corner than you would anticipate. Now that's going to be 2 or 3, 4, 5 all on top of each other. Just a little bit of a gap between DeLong and Ayres.
There's a little crunch on the nose end of Will Robusto's number 2 RVA graphics machine that was not there before. I suspect that came in some of the bumping and shuffling on the restart.
I think you're completely right about that. I love what Kohlbecker's doing here. What we would call the dragon move, I think, in other forms of racing. Just that sort of weaving back and forth, trying to break the draft. Robusto thinking about a look down to the inside of Ayres, going for a look down to the inside of Ayres. But Ayres is going to have the preferred line into 10B. That could open up the door here for Fletcher.
Yeah, Fletcher had lost a little bit of pace down that straight after the launch out of 7, but now he's gained it all right back. It was a valiant effort from the number 2, from Will Robusto. He might make that stick another time around, but good clean racing between the folks in the top 5.
Fletcher thinks about that look. Schweid thinks about that look from behind. That's Nico Colby. He's trying to get by Colby in turn, trying to make a little bit of a run on Delario. None of that plays out into turn 1, but we've seen Schweid be aggressive into 2. Thinks about it. He's going to stay in line for now.
Max Schweid started this race in 18th position. Look at him climb the order already into 10th and hoping for more over the youngster Nico Colby ahead.
And Colby's defense here has been impressive, as has his entire season. The young kid just really showing a head beyond his years.
Absolutely. Here's a pass, or an attempted pass, I should say, from the number 2. That's Will Robusto thinking about being brave on the outside of the 78 of Ethan Ayres. Thinks better of it, but all of a sudden Fletcher has rejoined this battle. What kind of a launch do they get out of 7? Because that'll determine how they stack up into the braking zone of 10A.
Well, looks like Robusto's almost given Ayres a little bit of a shot down the back straightaway. That is allowed, by the way. You can make contact with the rear bumper. You just can't physically lock onto it and push. You're able to kind of shove, not push, if that makes sense.
Damage, or really just crinkling. I don't think it's actually hindering his efforts as he goes way long on the brakes. We saw this play out a lap ago, and he's a little bit braver on the brakes this time by. A little bit of contact, that's fine, but Will Robusto goes off, and that won't be optimal.
That's going to slow him down a little bit. Ayres is able to get that position back. Fletcher's going to try to repay the favor as well. They'll be side by side at a 12. Fletcher up onto 2 wheels. Robusto 2 wheels in the dirt. This is all going to be decided into turn 1.
Yeah, those Continental tires picking up plenty of Georgia clay that will not make them as grippy as they could be despite being up to temperature. But Will Robusto has now fallen back a couple of positions and maybe more. But Fletcher now has been unleashed and he can track down Ethan Ayres.
And this is what we've seen a few times out of Will Robusto. I love the aggression. I love the way this young driver attacks like he did right there coming into the S's. But we sometimes see that unrestrained aggression that comes back to bite him later on in the race.
Something he mentioned to us early in the season, he wanted to limit those little mistakes. I think that was damage limitation, lost only a couple positions, and still with 26.5 minutes of racing, plenty of time to regain that ground, but still technically in the title fight, and he has that on his mind this season, but needs to chip away at limiting some of those small errors, because in a series like GR Cup North America, those tiny little errors can bite you. That's why this championship is so hard to win. You have to be perfect or darn near perfect each and every weekend to succeed.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to have a dream season, as we have seen from the likes of Tyler Gonzalez, Gresham Wagner, and Weston Workman. And I'll make an argument, Workman's season was not perfect, but after Sebring, it certainly was.
He put in a lot of work, and the phrasing from Shea Holbrook is he was BSI built. That's what she likes to say with her drivers, and he was. He evolved his character, his driving skill, his mental performance, and just some of his mental processing inside the race car and out, his confidence. It was really cool to see how he evolved over just about 365 days to turn in to the very composed, unbelievably quick and talented driver he is now.
Very much so. And full confession, I saw him at a race at the beginning of last season in a different series, and he came up to me and called me sir.
Wow.
And there was a change in the way he composed himself that I went, I got to watch him this season. And it's those little things that you recognize.
Absolutely it is, and look at the success he's had in Toyota machinery and the GT4 ranks, and I have a feeling he's not going to stop there. Jeremy Fletcher not stopping his pursuit of third place. Started on the pole position, shuffled back a couple positions, but undeniably quicker on the last 2 laps than the BSI Racing driver just in front. Will not make the pass, though, as Ethan Ayers able to hold station.
Oh, I love that camera angle that we were just able to see. You're able to see that rear tire slip as it just tries to fight for that grip on that blue and yellow curbing around the outside of turn 6. All right, onto the back straightaway here. Kohlbecker controlling this race. DeLong doesn't look like he's having any more luck than Ethan Ayers did on closing that gap, but Jeremy Fletcher and Will Robustto right on the tail, as is Max Schweid on the back of the tail here of Delario. Down to the inside of the braking zone, gets onto the binders, does Max Schweid, and gets it.
Look how controlled this race is. Look at the nose of that race car, relatively clean. He's made up a lot of positions. And he's now knocking on the door inside the top 10, and I think he's hungry for more.
He's in the top 10. He's made up 10 positions. He is just crushing it here. This is the kind of drive as we see a big move from Robustto into the inside of Ayers into 1.
That's controlled, hopping a wheel, little bit of contact. Ethan Ayers unsettled. Great car control for the second time in this race to hang on to the 78 in the same part of the racetrack. He was broken loose before. Move not made for Will Robustto, but not for a lack of trying, not for a lack of effort, and certainly not for a lack of contact.
And I wonder there if Robustto kind of eased off the throttle a little bit, recognizing he didn't want to do it. Full course caution yet again, and it looks like that could be the number 51 machine into turn 1. And this is going to reset this race once more. And crucially, I think, give these Continental tires a little time to cool off in this hot Georgia heat. But the other thing that's going to be a little tough for these drivers is when you're not going full speed, you're not getting cool air coming into the car, and that could make things a little hot for you at the cockpit.
No, it certainly can. As everybody slowed down to get under the full course yellow speed, Will Robustto is darn near door to door. Now is re-racked and reshuffled positions, but you want to be careful to not pass under yellow. We saw a note from race control. There was an investigation for car number 30 for a possible pass under yellow. Judgment not handed down yet, but Joe Rainey from Rainey Holmes Racing potentially under investigation for that.
As they're going to circle their way down through turns 10A and B. If I'm Parker DeLong, this is a huge blessing. This is an opportunity for me to get back on Spike Kohlbecker, close things down, try to attack a little bit more, and see if I can maybe just put the pressure to him on that opening lap.
DeLong, what a dream position he's in. He's not won a race yet in this series, and this is, like we said earlier, his best position to do so. And each time the field is bunched up like this, it only helps the Tech Sport Racing driver. He has a very, very talented and series veteran Spike Kohlbecker in front, and an incredibly hungry and equally talented driver in Jeremy Fletcher, who was fastest of anybody in the shortened qualifying and started on the pole position of this race just behind. That is a daunting task for a young 17-year-old driver. But again, look at the nose of that race car. Remarkably clean. It's been a great drive so far for the 42.
Yes, it has. And you know, we talked about Parker DeLong's advantage that he's going to get from this full course yellow. I also think this could be an advantage for Jeremy Fletcher. Remember, on the previous restart, he had to get by Ethan Ayers. And now that he is back up into that podium contention, what can he do on DeLong? What can he do on Kohlbecker? Is he going to be able to be the one to close that gap?
So many factors at play. We can see the top 5, even top 10 shuffle around in just a matter of a couple minutes. If we do go back green in some time, we will have less than 20 minutes to go, presumably. There is a look at Jeremy Fletcher. Again, started on the pole of this race, shuffled way back the order. I give him a lot of credit. You were talking about the mental game earlier, DJ, of having to maintain your composure. I think he settled himself down. Maybe it was the stoppage that helped, as he pulls just a little bit alongside DeLong to let him know that he's there. I love the gamesmanship. These girls and guys are incredibly competitive. Great to see that Massimo Sinceri is out of the race car after a heavy impact outside of turn 1.
Yeah, you don't have little impacts into turn 1. We're going to take a look at the replay here. Let's watch and see what happened. Oh, you can hear that skid. just that rear of that car just hard through the gravel and into the tire barriers.
Some of the safety technology, the gravel trap and the tires doing exactly what they were intended to, arresting that momentum. And Massimo going in backwards. Sometimes drivers too, if you know you're going to spin and hit the wall, sometimes they will intentionally continue to rotate the car to lessen the force of the impact regardless when in backwards, which is probably a good case there. Obviously, it's never a good case to crash. The best case is that he is out of the car, and he is.
Yes, and we are very, very glad to see that. I want to give a big shout out to Toyota as well for making these cars as safe as they are. We see aggressive wheel-to-wheel door banging action in this series, and the safety level that is carried on by Toyota, by Gazoo Racing, it is really, really impressive.
Especially considering so much of this race car is just a road car. It has been modified, and there's a whole host of OMP safety equipment, a roll cage, a seat, they have a Hans device, a helmet, all of that jazz that goes into making a race car not only SRO approved to race, but race eligible. But those door panels, those body panels, they're not carbon fiber. They are straight off the factory floor. And so, yes, the damage to them might look dramatic, but that's a road car body panel. You can order it. There's a part number for it. It's the same one that goes on the race car, barring a few performance modifications. But the vast majority of this race car is exactly what you would find on the factory floor. That is not a road car that is crash tested to survive the rigors of racing, and yet it does. That's remarkable.
Toyota, one of the things that makes them such remarkable machines is their safety rating. It's part of the reason why my wife drives a Toyota, is I wanted to make sure that we were fine and that everything was good when she got behind the wheel and when I get behind the wheel. So as we take a look at that movement of drivers, again, we mentioned it earlier, Max Schweid in the top 10, up 10 positions. Nathan Dupuis up 7. Livio Galante and Mate Caceres both up 6. Joe Rainey and Wilson up 6 and 7 respectively. But to me, Schweid up 10 spots, just over the halfway point of this race. That is impressive.
Yeah, and you know what? When we re-rack him, he's going to have the whole field bunched up in front of him, and you better believe he's going to be making more moves. There's a lot of pace in that number 98 car. RVA graphics, the package out of the box has looked really sharp. I know that Max will have been probably a little frustrated by the timing of the stoppage in qualifying. We talked about the importance earlier of getting a banker lap in so that you don't fall afoul of starting out of positions. But when you do, and you have pace in hand, that's an impressive thing. It is not an easy thing to overtake in these cars because they're all identical. They're all the same.
Exactly. For those of us that are tuning in off of GT World Challenge races or anything like that, you know, where you have those different makes and models of cars that are balanced, but perform differently in different circumstances. This is the opposite. This is all the exact same machinery. And Jonathan, you've got an update on that number 30 car.
Yeah, Judgment Pass Down has been reordered to the rear of the field. We saw a shot of that number 30 car doing just that. That is Joe Rainey behind the safety car.
As we're coming back to green here, the stricken machine of Massimo Sinceri has been taken away. Kohlbecker back in control of the field, trying to get a good jump over Parker DeLong, and does just that. Although DeLong gets a really nice jump there through 10B. He's going to bring Fletcher along with him as they plunge down the hill through turn 11 and into turn 12. Let's see if there's going to be a little action at the front of the field here. Parker DeLong looking closer than he's been in a long time.
Look at this train of cars. Here's Jeremy Fletcher as well. Parker DeLong hungry for a first race win. Jeremy Fletcher eager to get back to the 4.
He's going to try to push ahead. That's the 25 machine of Colby, a little bit farther back. Single file through this part of the track. Not seeing a lot of movement into turn 2. Although there is that accordion effect as they get into the braking zone. Kohlbecker not able to pull away here. DeLong all over that rear bumper of the 15.
Look at the body language over the curbs down the S. Is so physical, so aggressive, using that race suspension and the Continental tires to their advantage. But these GR Cup cars are taking it. They're tough as nails. And it's pretty remarkable that you can take that much curb, because even in some of the bigger race cars we see on display on track this weekend, that's not possible. But in these Cup cars, you can.
Certainly can. Nico Colby thinking about a move into turn 6. That would have been on Delorio. Now we work our way onto the back straightaway. Long snake of cars here. It's probably back to about, I'd say, 13th or 14th position. Call it 15th, actually. I think it's back to that one. As now Kohlbecker's starting to get a little bit of breathing room in between himself and DeLong as he again does that dragon move. And keep an eye on Fletcher here. He's close.
And keep an eye on Schweid as well. He's hungry for more positions. Fanning out, I think, a little bit too far back, but Fletcher had a look on the outside, stays to the racing line.
I think that was a little bit too over-eager of a defense there for Parker DeLong. I don't think he needed to move to the outside. If Fletcher had really wanted to, he could have sent that car and maybe made a move. That's a little bit of a move there for Goulart, kind of moving to driver's right through turn 11, cutting off any attack from Max Schweid. Now here comes Robustto. No, he's going to think better of it on Ethan Ayers.
Well, he pulled that car back into the racing line really last minute, but I think he's got Ethan Ayers feeling some pressure ahead because he's got a little bit wide. They might be door-to-door into 3.
Oh, Robustto thought about it. Ayers, as you said, got a little bit wide, gave him a little bit of a shoulder, kind of tell him not to come through there. Now they revert back to single file through the S's as we normally see. Robustto very, very slippery down through that part, but look how narrow of a line that was for Robustto. I don't know if that's going to help him or cost him momentum.
Keep in mind, a couple laps ago, before the full course yellow, Robustto and Ayers came to blows. A little bit of contact in Sector 1. Not so there, and a little bit of separation here, as DeLong, I think, might have closed up just a little bit on Spike Kohlbecker, timing and scoring showing just over 0.2 of a second.
We'll get a better update of that time when they cross over the Sector 2 to Sector 3 timing line. Looks like there's a little bit of breathing room between 4th and 3rd. That's Ayers to Fletcher, and Kohlbecker again going back to that weave, back and forth down that long back straightaway, making sure DeLong can't just tuck up behind that Tech Sport Racing sister car and get a move.
Not a tremendous aerodynamic advantage in the slipstream for these cars, given the top speeds, but we see them every qualifying session go out in one long train, so it is enough of an advantage to make a difference, and a measurable difference. It's why they all do it. But look how close DeLong is down the hill.
DeLong looks really good out of turn 10A and down through 12. I just don't think he quite has the closing speed down the front straightaway to really send it on Kohlbecker.
Kohlbecker has been so strong all season. The launch off the corner and the descend into the corner. He's so good on the brakes. He's really calm in defense, too. He makes one definitive move and sticks there. Not common in these series. It is by the rules how you're supposed to do it, but look at the top 3 now separated. Kohlbecker, DeLong, the pole sitter, Jeremy Fletcher, eager to get back to the front of this race.
Yeah, that's a really good run through the S's there for DeLong. He's just got to keep this together through turn 5. This is where Kohlbecker's been able to gain just enough of an advantage to keep DeLong at bay. Kohlbecker moves off to driver's left. I think just kind of defending that line. As we take a look there on who is best in what portions of the track, DeLong is actually best through Sector 1 and 2, and that looks to be the 72 of Goulart is the fastest through Sector 3.
Personal best last time by for both DeLong and Fletcher's. Kohlbecker, no improvement, but he has been weaving defensively because he's feeling the pressure in his mirrors.
Yeah, and I think we've had the debate whether or not this is an effective move or not. I think the proof is in the pudding right here that it is, at least for Spike Kohlbecker. He's been able to hold on to the lead of this race. 12 minutes, 10 seconds left to go in the race, and here's DeLong looking to the outside. Kohlbecker just a little lot better on the binders coming into 10A. Now as they exit this again, good run there for DeLong. I think Fletcher's just kind of holding back, waiting for this battle to fire off, and he's going to pick up the pieces.
Little over 11 minutes to go as Robustto dips a wheel into the dirt. No harm, no foul, and DeLong has a proper sniff to the inside.
Yep.
The fact that Kohlbecker is moving in defense means he's feeling pressure. He's not just doing that for show. He knows how strong Parker DeLong is.
Yeah, I mean, he is, I don't want to say scared, maybe the right word is cognizant of exactly what this pressure from behind is, although not the best run here for DeLong. He's like, whoa, big slide for the number 42 coming down through the first part of the S's.
You can afford to do that a little bit. These cars are inherently a little bit tail happy. Rear-wheel drive, it's so light. Same wheelbase as a lot of really popular, very high-end sports car offerings, and that's intentional, but relatively smaller tires allow you to dance this car around the curves like we're seeing a great example of there with the number 12 car. Really beautiful thing to watch these cars being driven on the ragged edge and on the limit, and around Road Atlanta, as we're seeing from Joseph Malley dancing through the curves as he's got pressure behind from the Raffle Racing machine. It's easy to do, and when you get it right, it looks dramatic, but it's fast.
One of the most incredible experiences I had was at one point on a Friday when I was at Road America going down to Canada Corner and watching these cars come through. The TV does not give an apt description of just how sideways they are coming through that corner. It is remarkable.
On mini corners as well, these cars are so fun to drive. They have so much character. Remember, they have the bones and really the skeleton and a lot of the meat and potatoes of just a road car. And it retains a lot of that character even in racetrack.
That it does. We watch the battle right now. Back to Malley and Caceres. And on that 812 Rafa racing machine, you will notice that that rear bumper on driver's left is a little bit torn up. She comes around the corner right now. There you can see it. That's going to slow her down on the straights just a little bit. Good news for Mate is I don't think she's having any contact with the tire on it, so it shouldn't be anything big. Livio Galante, though, wants a little bit of a look to the inside.
Yes, he does. Mate a little bit stronger on the brakes, so look at the corner speed she's able to carry. Might be a little bit slower on the straight, compliments of the de facto air brake, but she has got those Continental tires well and truly fired up. That Rafa Racing team has prepared that 812 nicely, and all of a sudden, Kohlbecker prancing away, but just behind, DeLong is now having to go defensive from our once pole-sitting Jeremy Fletcher.
And I'm going to be interested to see what defense DeLong tries to pull out here down the back straightaway. Do we see a repeat of what Kohlbecker's been doing in that big weaving motion back and forth? Or does he maybe try to straight line this and hope that his straight line speed will be enough to get away? Side by side, farther back in the field there. I think that's that battle around 9th place with Delario, Colby, and Maines.
I think it is indeed, and as that sorts itself out, Jeremy Fletcher tries to draw bead on DeLong in front. Will Robustto tries to make the move finally on Ethan Ayers. This one's been a few laps in the making.
Certainly has. Fletcher down to the inside. There he goes. Robustto down to the inside. It looks like Robustto's going to be a little bit more successful. Fletcher and DeLong are still side by side, as are Ayers and Robustto. My goodness gracious.
It's still not resolved. They're still side by side during probably the highest committed corner on this racetrack. Turn 12, it's fully loaded, a lot of compression, downhill, and you're turning and you're setting up a straightaway. There's still door to door. Fletcher trying to get a nose ahead, but DeLong is so good on the brakes.
DeLong gave him some space on the outside. That allows for Ethan Ayers to join in this conversation. Now Fletcher looks like he's got ahead, but DeLong not letting him go quietly. Oh, there's contact there, bumping and banging as they come through 3.
Ethan Ayers is super eager, maybe a little bit too eager into the back end of Parker DeLong, who was door to door with Jeremy Fletcher for a whole heap of time. He's drawn a little bit closer to the 42, scampering away from the number 2. As this battle starts to come into focus, Jeremy Fletcher now solidifies his position in second. Spike Kohlbecker is loving this because he's almost 3 seconds to the good now at the lead of this race.
Positively delighted is, I think, what Spike Kohlbecker is at this point. All right, Fletcher now has to try to catch up to Kohlbecker, or is this a position where he recognizes there is no hope in 7.5 minutes left to be able to catch up to that P1 position? This is all about defense and defending that P2 on the podium.
No, I think there's plenty of time left. It's Spike Kohlbecker. He's had a dream season, but Jeremy Fletcher and a hungry Jeremy Fletcher can be a scary thing, but he is going to have to worry about that defense first.
I saw DeLong poke to what will be the outside of 10A. I think Ayers and Robustto were thinking about it as well. Battles up and down through the field here at this point. That's Mate Caceres. There's the side-by-side pieces flying off the back there of Ethan Ayers. Robustto kicking up the dirt.
No quarter, none asked, none given here in GR Cup. It is as tough as nails. It is as close as ever. The 78 trying to hold on to 4th position in pursuit of a podium, but he's got Will Robustto hunting down, trying to keep his title hopes alive behind in that RVA machine.
Looks like he's taken a little bit of a different line. Fletcher and DeLong for 2nd and 3rd, keeping things relatively calm, cool, and collected. As DeLong loses maybe about a 10th or a car length or so on the back of Fletcher. See if he can gain it back up here through the S's.
Look at the comparison here in this battle for 2nd. Jeremy Fletcher fastest on the last 3 laps, and yet still DeLong gets hung with him.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. They are keeping pushing. They are keeping going. They are getting in. Oh, that is Alce Araujo with some pretty hefty damage on the front end of that machine.
Let's take a look now at how this happened into a very technical part of the track. Goes a little bit long, avoids contact there, but on the second time of asking, was that Brunson coming through that just tagged the front of that race car. Can be so tough. Brunson was trying to avoid, and the 77 was just a little bit squirrely on the end of that second phase of braking.
Yeah, and it's just that slow, lazy spin that you really hate to see if you're behind the wheel of the car and you feel it going. You're doing everything you could do. You're trying to save it, but it's just so low.
93 made contact with the 90 in qualifying. That's what brought out the red. And the two of Will Robustto nearly banging doors, and now they bang fenders, trying to get his way past Ethan Ayres. Finally makes the move stick, but a little bit of contact in there, DJ.
And I think Robustto right now is hoping Melbeck Ramos puts the pressure onto the back of Ethan Ayres, but Ramos in turn is worried about the pressure here coming from Ethan Goulart as they come down onto the main straightaway, diving down to the inside, goes Schweid trying to attack onto the back of Ramos. Don't blink and you'll miss some of this action, folks.
Did you think when Will Robustto started this motor race he was going to be thinking about Max Schweid in his mirrors? It's not the car immediately behind him, but I think he might be in just a couple minutes time, under 5 minutes to go, and Max Schweid is charging. He started 18th, he's made his way up to 7th, and he is not finished yet. A 4-car string heads through the S's, headed by Will Robustto in 4th, and Max Schweid is hungry for more positions. It's Melbeck Ramos, the next car in line.
That was just this side of onside there for Will Robustto. Almost got a little bit too wide coming on the exit of 5. I think he didn't get the best run because Ethan Ayres is looking pressuring on his rear wing. Right behind him, of course, Melbeck Ramos. They're going to come out of turn 7, 4, 5, 6, all on top of each other. Robustto gets a little bit of a better run. Ayres may be the one who's under pressure here from Melbeck Ramos.
Max Schweid, noticing that those cars were bunching up in front of him out of 6, the short run to 7, backed off just a little bit to focus on the exit, and that's why, to get a better run down into the braking zone of turn 10, but is it enough?
Doesn't look like it unless he's super, super late on the binders. Here comes Ayres. Is he going to go for it? No, he's going to fall back into line. Good defense there from Will Robustto, recognizing that that attack was either going to end in travesty or it was going to end in him still being ahead.
No harm, no foul, but still no move made. And Max Schweid continues his efforts from 7th. He could very easily be in 4th, though. And look at this, popping out of line is Melbeck Ramos to get some clean air, a clear view of Ethan Ayres just ahead of him.
All right, under 4 minutes left to go, under 3.5 minutes left to go, let us say. Jeremy Fletcher on a tear here, fastest out of anyone through Sector 1.
Understandably, note from race control incident involving 77 and 93 under review. We saw that a few moments ago. We're seeing Jeremy Fletcher jumping and dancing over the curbs and sliding the rear end of that 22 car around.
He is pushing with everything he's got. 3.3 seconds to try to make up to Spike Kohlbecker. He's still flashing the headlights, and we've got contact in the background. Is that Ramos? That's the 78, spun around.
Yeah, and I think he was helped just behind. That battle was evolving. Second incident we've seen on that part of the racetrack. All of a sudden, Ethan Goulart, as this field is still green for the time being, has inserted himself into this battle. Max Schweid was making progress. Ethan Goulart trying to go with him. Now he's in 7th place.
Excuse me, that was Ethan Ayres, not Melbeck Ramos. Ramos has held on to 5th place here at this point, and there is the full course yellow. Not surprised by that, Jonathan.
Yeah, full course yellow right now. We keep seeing these little spurts with under 3 minutes to go. I'm unsure if we'll go back to green.
Well, we've got some smoke coming out from the underhood of that car for Ethan Ayres. What a disappointing day, and what a great drive it was for Ethan and that BSI racing machine. Let's take a look at exactly what happened.
Top of your screen, cresting the hill. It's unclear if he was helped. The back end of that car actually looks pretty clean. Maybe it was a little shove. Maybe he just got loose over the turn 5 curbs. That's a corner that as you come down, it's blind on entry. There's a lot of compression, and you have to be patient when you turn it. It can be really easy to turn in early to turn 5. You have to wait, and then get on the power. There's a lot of exit curb to help you, but if you take too much of that curb, it can really unsettle the race car.
Well, and don't forget the fact you're on exit curbing as you're starting to apply that throttle sometimes, and if you just catch that with a little bit extra steering, it can just pop around like that. And we are getting the note from race control. This will be the final lap. We will be finishing under yellow.
So Spike Kohlbecker can start to sigh a little bit of relief here. So too will Jeremy Fletcher. Parker DeLong, story of the day in my mind. What a drive for the young 17-year-old in that 42. Could have very easily won this motor race. He was right in the mix. He hung with some of the best in the business. And when he looks back on the story of this season and says, whoever wins the championship between Kohlbecker, Fletcher, or anyone else, he was right there with him.
And I fully agree with you, but to me, the drive of the day goes to that second place machine. It was the car that started on pole, lost 4 to 5 spots over the course of a single lap, was able to come back from that, have the mental fortitude to fight back through the field. Very, very impressive. We are getting a note from race control that Araujo is being penalized with what will be a drive-through time equivalent. So race control will figure out what that number is. It's a little bit of salt in the wounds. He's down in 23rd at this point, so that's effectively going to drop him to the back of the cars that are running.
Yeah, it is. What they'll do is they'll add on the equivalent time it takes to get down pit lane. With the main pit lane, it's about 48 seconds. That's a hefty penalty.
Yeah, it certainly is. But great drives here today across the field. I mean, we've got to talk about, obviously, Ethan Goulart. Just incredible to see that driver fight his way back up and really do, or excuse me, Goulart was good, Schweid was better.
Yeah, Goulart hung in there the whole way, started in 8th, ended in 7th, but Max Schweid, my goodness, started 18th, ended in 6th position. To your point, what a drive.
Yeah.
What a drive. I mean, he had to deal with plenty of carnage and cars in the wall in front of him, battles door to door, what have you. Kept the nose clean, and what a job of it.
What a job indeed, and what a victory indeed for the number 15 machine. Spike Kohlbecker has become tradition at this point in this season to say we'll take the checkered flag. That is win number 5.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. He has not finished worse than 2nd this season.
We always say, Jonathan, a championship is made by how good you can make your worst days. If your worst day is P2, you're doing pretty darn well.
That's why for anyone else in this field, Jeremy Fletcher's put a really strong season together at this point. Obviously, some things unraveled in Sonoma, lackluster result here or there, but really pretty consistent. 2nd, 1st, like a race to forget in Sonoma, but then 11th, a win, a podium, and now a 2nd place finish. That's a really pretty good season. He's got to be a little bit frustrated. Started on the pole, ended 2nd. A really strong effort for him to regain some mental composure, charge back through the field after losing some ground early. But Spike Kohlbecker is putting together a very, very special season.
Yes, he is. And we all kind of wondered coming into this season what it was going to be like for Spike. He was really the last of those race winners that we had seen since the inception of this series 4 years ago. And there was maybe some thoughts of, is it Spike's time, or has maybe that time passed him by? I think he has proven wholesale that this is his time. He is grabbing it with both hands, and he is dominating.
Not only is this his 5th win of 2026 so far in round 7, mind you, he ties Gresham Wagner for the all-time wins record in this championship so far. We've still got another race tomorrow.
That we do. As we take a look at those final finishing orders, it is Kohlbecker from Fletcher, DeLong, Robustto. Malbec Ramos did a really good job to get his way and hold onto that position for Tech Sport Racing. Max Schweid, to me, driver of the day right there.
Look at Nico Colby as well inside the top 10. Schweid, a great result, but for the youngster for Copeland, Nico Colby, they've got to be really happy with that pick. An 8th place finish. He continues to chip away. He's going to be a star. Such a, still a teenager is Nico Colby. Hard to believe it. His mom brought him to his first debut race. Certainly doesn't drive like it. He's been really, really impressive. Nathan Dupuy as well did a lot of carving through the field in this contest.
Yeah, we also want to shout out Mate Caceres, obviously our Endava highest finishing female of the race, and doing that with that damage on the car, always an impressive thing when you're able to bring that car home in that way. In a 16th place position in this field is nothing to shake a stick at whatsoever.
And with the damaged race car, I was really impressed how she was able to hold some of the competition at bay. Slower on the straight, but carrying a lot of corner speed. Great setup with the Rafa Racing car, and Mate Caceres did a really, really nice job.
As we move on to that second page, we unfortunately get into some of the drivers that had some bad luck out there today. Ethan Ayres, Patrick Brunson, Araujo, Sinceri. Very happy to see Massimo getting up and getting out of the car after that crash into turn 1. Mosteller, obviously our first victim of a DNF on the day, and Mike Edwards as well.
It's a really challenging race circuit. Finishing a race here is to be commended. Winning a race is a whole nother story. This is a really challenging venue, and for many of these drivers, this will be their first trip here to Georgia and to Road Atlanta.
Well, as we said, it is the inaugural race for Toyota GR Cup North America at this storied venue. It's the first time SRO Motorsports Group America has been back here in 15 years, and we are so delighted.
And the first as the headliner as well.
Exactly. As the cars make their way in, there's that damage we were talking about from Mate Caceres. You can see that on the driver's left. Just torn up a little bit. That'll be an easy fix overnight. We, of course, will be back racing tomorrow morning. Well, qualifying tomorrow morning, and then we will reset and get ready to race all again tomorrow. We are relatively unique in SRO Motorsports Group competition that we actually do qualify each day that we go racing. But there he is, Spike Kohlbecker, down on the grid, or on the victory podium, getting himself out of the car. It's going to be a big smile from this young man. There it is. Always love seeing Spike celebrate. He always has that look in his eyes, if you can just tell the sheer joy that he has. Big hugs from the team. It was a great drive from third place on the starting grid.
Doesn't matter if it's first win of the season, first win in the series, or his 13th total, 5th of the year. He is just as excited. You can tell how much this season, these results, and this drive means to Spike.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He is a very, very good kid. There you see the earbuds coming on out. We're going to get the Continental collar and the Continental hat on your Victor here. So he takes off the safety equipment. Hat goes on. There goes the collar for the Victor, and I believe Amanda Busick is standing by to talk to our Victor.
You guys did that with the shot of Spike Kohlbecker looking at the podium and you guys getting the Continental cuff on there. And, you know, we look at the series history here for GR Cup and of what drivers have been able to accomplish. You're the only one that's won at Road Atlanta. What was that moment like for you today, Spike?
Oh, we just did great today. We made some changes from yesterday that really suited us in the heat today, and I couldn't thank Tech Sport enough for this amazing car that they gave me, a fast car, and I got a great crew of people here supporting me, which I'm so thankful and blessed for. So, and all the people watching at home, of course, can't forget them. So.
5 wins in 7 races already. We're not going to talk championship, but I'm sure your mind might be there. But when you look at today and survival on those restarts, what will you take into tomorrow?
Yeah, I learned some good points for the restarts. Those were particularly tricky. I was lucky enough to have my teammate behind me for most of the restarts, and that played a big favor into my hand, and we were able to communicate. I guess not really communicate, but, you know, think alike. So, yeah.
Congratulations to Spike Kohlbecker taking in this moment. And you kind of predicted you'd be seeing me after the end of the race. As I move over to Jeremy Fletcher, you're going to see some hugs from Spike Kohlbecker as he takes in this moment. But coming back to the race, man, that was a wild one out there today. I know Spike had a bit of a commanding lead there. How do you assess what happened and what could have been different?
Not getting cleared down the straightaway on the first lap would have been ideal. You know, no other car could really do that. I think we can draft up to anybody except that car, unfortunately. So, tried to put it together. The Cope Motorsports boys giving the best equipment every weekend. So happy we could still get some points back, get on the box, bring home a trophy, maybe spray some champagne, and have a good night. And come here tomorrow with our head held high and try to do the exact same thing, if not one spot higher.
That is a mentality that I like to see out of racing drivers as they push forward to the next race. And Parker DeLong will finish on the 3rd step here, and talking to Spike, talking about your help here today on those restarts. When you look at Road Atlanta, what was the challenge today for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to keep the car clean. It's a little hot out today, so it was hard to keep the car cool. But yeah, main focus was to keep the car cool. But overall, it was a good race, pretty clean race. The cautions packed us back up. Made it a little bit harder for us to race on from there, but yeah, obviously it was a great race.
Thank you, Parker. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Let's take a look at those championship points. Kohlbecker, 151 points over Jeremy Fletcher. Robustto in 3rd. Schweid, Ayers, your top 5.
Unbelievable, extending for Spike Kohlbecker in what's been a phenomenal season. Max Schweid, his comeback drive will help him today, but he has his eyes on 3rd place in this championship as well.
Yeah, he does. A lot of moving and shaking to still be done, and another race and another qualifying yet to go tomorrow. But on behalf of our entire crew here, my name is DJ Clark. That was Jonathan Grace. We will see you back at Road Atlanta tomorrow.